she and took advantage of her. For our purpose, never thought things could go so smoothly. Riola insisted this must be what they were thinking, looking back now. I guess this is exactly what would happen when I set foot here. When she first arrived, Hohan never let her feel lost, always calling Riola's name. Now standing in front of him, she couldn't help but doubt he had always been generous to her, but since she came here, he began to show kindness and favoritism excessively, as if he was acting in a play. For someone to see suddenly, Hohan's voice rose, making her wake up. Riola, he leaned close to her hand, gently placed on her neck. The servant staring made her uncomfortable, but at least 10 people were watching us. Maria blushed. She turned away shyly. Your Majesty weighed her hand, tried to push him away, but Hohan quickly spoke. I have memorized the names of those maids, so if anyone harms you, you must tell me the details. He whispered in her ear. Her cheeks flushed red like a ripe tomato. Embarrassed, she tucked her hair behind her ear. What is this? I can feel. His Highness is also hiding some intention. But Hohan did not forget to remind me. You must still be tired after the trip. You should rest. I think today I will be busy again, but Jess will be here to take care of you. Jess, standing beside, nodded after hearing the order. Seeing the Emperor preparing to leave, the maids became noisier than a market at L'Oreal. Quickly. Your Majesty, if you have some time, the red-haired maid also wants to follow Your Majesty. About the person I mentioned. Jess stepped forward, asking Riola if she had eaten breakfast yet. I think we should proceed with the test I mentioned yesterday. She happily replied, yes, let's start. She thought to herself unexpectedly. We were left alone together. Jess scribbled noisily. While informing her about her condition, she was in a state of serious exhaustion, but still manageable. But so far, nothing alarming has happened. Has this happened before? Riola quickly answered. No, I did faint a few times, but I only started having memory loss last year. Looking at the cold cup of tea on the table, he took on a sarcastic tone. You're not acting right? Which startled her. What? His words made her uncomfortable. I'm just asking to be sure. She said she first experienced memory loss when she slept with the Emperor last year. So I wonder if she often pretends to lose memory when she wants to avoid something. She looked at the serious man in front of her, thinking it seemed he asked not to attack her. Riola lowered her head and voice. No, that's not it. Jess took some notes, then ended the checkup. All right, that's the end of the health check. As soon as he finished, he quickly turned to leave, but was stopped by her. Looking at the pile of pastries on the table. She spoke. If you're here, then please try some of these pastries. There's too many and I can't finish them. But throwing them away is not an option. Yes, he frowned, but doing so didn't make her uncomfortable. Why? She generously replied, I'm not uncomfortable, and her heart suddenly felt lighter. Unlike those maids who made me embarrassed with their flattery. At least he didn't lie. Jess bluntly replied to her sincerity, but I felt uncomfortable, so I refused. Thank you, Riola. Just smiled silently, then asked him, do you mind if I want to know the reason? He bluntly said, I do mind, so please don't ask. It seems she got caught, so she softened her tone. But her mind was confused. If she forced him to stay, it would be a loss. Then he turned 180 degrees and walked straight away. Jess then replied, that's because I still don't understand you. Riola was wide-eyed in surprise. He stood firmly in front of her and said firmly, I am a scholar. I only feel comfortable when I have a firm grasp of something in my hands. I feel uncomfortable with everything I don't understand. That's why I feel uneasy around you. Jess half turned to Riola and said the maids flatter you because there's a rumor you have become the Emperor's woman. They behave like that because they probably believe it will bring them benefits, making her thoughtful for a moment. I knew this beforehand, so I felt uncomfortable because the maids were overly kind unnecessarily. He continued to paint a not-so-fairy tale scenario from another perspective. Surely there would be people waiting for the right moment to find a way to separate her from the Emperor's side. They had just gotten acquainted with the new Emperor, so they must have made that decision. Her unexpected appearance obstructed them. Riola suddenly realized she thought they were staring at her out of curiosity and caution. Jess got straight to the point, but I still can't make a judgment about you. He spoke seriously. I am a scholar. I feel comfortable if I know something for sure. I definitely feel uncomfortable with things I cannot understand. That's why I don't feel comfortable being near you. Curious. She stood up immediately. But I won't bother or hinder you. He coldly turned away. My judgment is not based on that. Riola couldn't hide her curiosity. Then what do you need to evaluate me? Jess clenched his teeth and was silent for a long time. The space became eerily quiet. Riola was still eagerly waiting for an answer. Looking at the pile of documents in his hand made her think. Those were documents about test results based on the Emperor's health condition, all of which would be used to decide whether her presence would be beneficial or harmful to the Emperor. So that's how this man evaluates. Riola glanced away, smiling. Jess saw her staring at the stack of documents, then hugged them tightly and questioned, what are you looking at? These are confidential documents. She laughed and replied, haha, yes, I'm sorry. He couldn't stand that laugh and quickly asked why she was laughing. She couldn't hold back her laughter and said, I'm sorry. Her sulky attitude made him slightly change his view. Just yesterday, I found it hard to look him straight in the eye because I thought he looked scary, but now meeting him today, maybe I was wrong. Riola flattered him a bit. I'm thinking there are many wonderful people around. Beside the Emperor. Jess stared at her and replied, no matter what, I will be patient until you know who I am and how I treat you. When you have your own opinion about me, please let me know. Calm down now. Her mind was still tangled with one thing. She wanted to know more than anyone else whether she was truly useful or harmful to the Emperor. On this side, the Emperor was holding a meeting. The participants nodded repeatedly. Han spoke loudly, making everyone startled. All right, it seems we have discussed all urgent matters. The blue-haired man sighed tiredly, exhausted. The potential emperor rarely held political meetings like this, but this young potential emperor was very ambitious and intense. We have held meetings like this every day. It's really annoying when he keeps questioning everything that the previous potential emperor had built but already existed. A bloody big war in the political arena. The new emperor was not simple, eliminating all the supporters of the previous potential emperor, while some survivors remained. On the other hand, he only kept the loyal ones who had been exiled. That means one safe old guard was preparing to end the meeting. Quickly spoke up. Is there any other issue to discuss? The blue-haired man was very curious. The truth is, everyone was curious about that woman, but no one dared to mention her. The participants glanced at the emperor, seemed to share the same thought. The guard said, if there's nothing else, then before finishing, Han interrupted. I will mention something quickly. It's about Riola Britannia, who is currently in the western area. Everyone froze. What? Why suddenly mention him sitting from afar? He could read everything in their minds, but was still worried. They were obviously very curious. I guess it's understandable. There are many rumors about her, but everyone only knows that she comes from the Riola kingdom. I have to consider what excuse to give. I need a reasonable reason to keep her close and safe. Hohan spoke. I'm sure all of you have heard rumors about Riola Britannia, and I believe those rumors are... My mind was tangled like a ball of yarn. Truth or not truth, if I tell them the truth, Riola will face greater dangers. However, it will give me a legitimate reason to keep her closer to me. But if I deny the rumors, Riola will be free to stay away from all dangers and restraints. If she wants to stay, she can. If she wants to leave, I can do that too. But that means I won't be able to see her often. Hohan kept hesitating. Before the rumor was even fully out, his head suddenly spun with everyone's thoughts in the meeting room, ringing loudly in his ears. If it's true, then how could it become reality, Your Majesty? Really involved with that lowly woman. He's lived a humble life for many years in hiding, but his standards for women have dropped that low? No way. That woman will never become our queen. Heavens. That means we need to win her favor as soon as possible. Who is she? I haven't even seen her face. Is she beautiful? I guess Rosetta is no longer involved. No way. That day he would choose her as his wife. Surely he was just playing for fun. Is she beautiful? Hohan was dazed, clutching his head. What is this? The whole room quickly fell into silence. Even the guards were endlessly curious. Why isn't His Majesty saying anything? Someone else tapped the table impatiently. Wait, this has dragged on too long. I really want to know the truth. Is she really beautiful? Hero Han frowned, uncomfortable, realizing something strange was happening. I need to contact that person, to be able to read thoughts. How can I read everyone's thoughts all at once? He looked over at Aizen, standing at a distance. He could also read his thoughts clearly. His Majesty is acting very strangely. Damn it, is he having another seizure? He looked clearly worried. I can even hear Aizen's thoughts from afar. Seeing the awkward situation, Aizen immediately spoke up to help. You still have an important schedule, and I forgot. I think you should end this meeting, Your Majesty. Everyone was upset hearing this, but why suddenly like this? Please finish the announcement before you leave. Aizen's face turned dark as he shouted, there's a bunch of thieves surrounding the north, so we don't have time, do you understand? Those guys heard that and just kept silent, everyone trembling. Scene changed to Hero Han. Settled in the bedroom, Aizen stood nearby, worriedly asking, Your Majesty, are you okay? Is it another seizure? Do you see me? He was so tired he could only think that I still see you clearly. Aizen hurried. I'll call Jess right away. Please wait a moment. He left, leaving him immersed in delirium. Can I go? And I don't have chest pain as usual or a headache. He sat up on the bed, understanding himself clearly. This definitely isn't a seizure. This isn't the kind of seizure I had before. It could be a different kind of symptom, meaning I need to prepare for the end. I have the throne, but there are still many things I need to do before I die. Jess was informed and rushed into the room. Your Majesty, are you okay? What happened? Why did you have another seizure? At this close distance, it's not hard for him to read his thoughts. Damn it, if Hero Han dies like this, I will preserve his body if it helps complete my research. Hero Han sneered. Really strange, his voice calm and steady. I'm still fine. Jess breathed a sigh of relief. Thankfully he could still speak. He recovered. So when did the strength come back? Hohan scratched his head and sighed. There's nothing to recover from because as soon as he lowered his hand, a voice rang in his head. Could this be caused by Spy 2? But I swapped the medicine that Spy swapped. There's no way the medicine could be swapped again. So could it be this time? He glanced at Aizen and Jess right in front of him, suspicious. At that moment, Hogan frowned, hearing the voice of Spy 2. They were shocked. What is he talking about? CEO Hohan sat on the large bed with Jess and Aaron beside him. He spoke, Spy. Aizen immediately sprayed perfume, raising his hand coquettishly like a young maiden, asking, Huh, what are you suddenly talking about? Jess beside him wasn't much better, stunned, eyebrows knit, awkwardly looking at Hohan. Then he looked down at his hand, thinking it was strange. Surely our hands haven't touched. Then said, and I'm still wearing gloves. Ha ha ha. Stepping closer, he frowned. Do you think a traitor could have done this? Jess was sweating profusely, hesitated, but I was careful not to touch you. So no matter what, ha ha ha, keep rambling. I also heard about your hope to stuff my body. afraid he would misunderstand. Jess hurriedly explained, "That's because I cherish you very much, Your Majesty." He was silent for a moment, then reproached, "How dare you keep that secret from me? Tell me, you said my medicine was swapped? Among us, could there be a spy infiltrating?" The words were just spoken. The whole room fell into the silence of sheep. Eisen and Jess helplessly looked at each other, speechless. They sighed and continued guessing. "The two of you are conspiring behind my back. You must have narrowed down the list of suspects." Jess and Eisen slightly frowned and both said, "Then Emla." The name Emla echoed, making him immediately open his eyes wide and frown. Both hesitated for a moment. "The person we suspect is Roy." Riola's silhouette appeared. They continued speaking. Riola branded her. Hearing her name, Hohan immediately stiffened, stunned. The disbelief was clear as the scene shifted to Riola's place. Two maids enthusiastically introduced the noblewoman Riola. "Please look carefully. This is the catalog from the most famous dress shop in the Baja Boden area." Along with that, they pointed to the book to show her. The two maids were overly enthusiastic. One pointed at the book, the other tidied her hair. She slightly frowned, thinking to herself they were becoming more and more ridiculous since the Emperor stopped by this morning. She gently held the page, worried and thinking she didn't know where they had sent Lou, but quickly, she was pulled out of that chaotic thought. The orange-haired maid asked, "Oh, do you like this style?" Riola smiled and replied, "Wow, the dress is really beautiful." The other maid admired and praised, "I didn't expect you to pick the latest trend too. You really have an eye for fashion." Riola smiled back. "Wouldn't it be better if I try it on directly?" She slightly bowed and whispered to her, "The truth is, I am the owner of this shop. If you want it, I can get you whatever you want from this book." Riola thought to herself, "I knew it." Then she smiled brightly and turned to the maid, "Thank you. After all, you're from Baja Boden." She seemed very knowledgeable and familiar with this field. Maid Nia Lu didn't know much about these things because she came from the kingdom. Maid Nia quickly responded, "Oh, how can you compare me to her like that? Just lock that country girl in the laundry room to wash clothes." Hearing Nia's words, she immediately froze, about to say something but stopped. It seemed Nia still didn't realize what she had just said, so she continued, "From now on, you can tell me whatever you want," Riola said coldly. "Lou is in the laundry room." As soon as the words ended, the maid became awkward. She hurriedly explained, "Oh, Riola, I mean," but before she could finish, Riola stood up. She frowned, her eyes scowling at her. "Did you bring Lou to the laundry room? Your expression doesn't look good." She tried to explain, "No, it's not like that," but Riola didn't care and quickly turned to leave, leaving only one sentence. "I need to walk alone, so don't follow me." The footsteps gradually faded away. The two maids just stood there, embarrassed, not daring to do anything in the hallway. She continued striding forward, thinking to herself she went out but didn't know which direction the laundry room was, and she had no one to ask. As she stood there clueless, it seemed heaven heard her heart's voice, and a person appeared walking toward her. She pondered whether to return to her room and ask a servant or not. But then she was suddenly surprised. A blue-haired person was standing near her. She immediately recognized him as Ainai Kakno. Then she recalled the past when she was lying on the carriage. He had taken care of her. After finding her in the carriage quickly, she saluted and greeted him. "Long time no see, Nai Kakno." "Are you well?" she continued. "I've been waiting to thank you." But before she could finish, Nai Kakno didn't stop but brushed past her bluntly. When the last words were spoken, "Thank you," Nai Kakno suddenly froze. He turned back to look at her with an indescribable expression, as if surprised by something, while she stood still, not understanding what happened. She softly called, "Ngai Kakno," but he didn't respond. His hands clenched into fists. Then he turned his back and left decisively. She stood confused, thinking, what was that just now? Then it was replaced by another thought. Well, I guess he doesn't have the obligation to be kind to me since we just met for the first time. But sometimes something feels off. After a while walking, she saw an older man standing solemnly nearby. She immediately approached and asked, "Excuse me, sorry to bother you, but if you're not too busy, could you tell me the way to the laundry room?" Scene shifts to the laundry room where a group of servants are working, some washing clothes, some washing towels, and so on. Slender hands wringing out water. It turns out that person is Lulu, raising her hand to wipe the sweat dripping down her forehead. She is tired, silently thinking she misses Riola. Then a voice calls out from behind, "Lu, are you working here?" The sudden voice startles Lu. She stammers, See Riola?" Riola steps closer and reaches out her hand, asking, "What are you doing here?" Lu's eyes sparkle as she looks at her, blushing, and says, She lowers her head hesitantly. There are many intelligent and elegant maids in the East, so I thought I might get in your way. And someone told me to come to the laundry area because there are some short-handled tools there," she continues shyly. "I'm sorry, Lady Riola." Riola seems to ignore Lu's words. She tightly holds Lu's hand to comfort her. "Why do you have to go? Sorry." "I'm not scolding you," Lu thinks, her hands feeling very cold. The image of Lu now reminds her of her former self. They are very similar. Her eyes are sad. "I will do all the laundry. Don't worry. I'm very good at these things, so let me do it." Each word from her childhood echoes in her mind. The image of a little red-haired girl carrying a basket of clothes, smiling brightly, suddenly floods her mind. She thinks she once avoided it, fearing abandonment, so she desperately tried to prove her worth. Thinking about it, she grips Lu's hand even tighter and asks, "Lu, is your hand hurting? You can stop and stand up." Lu quickly refuses. No, Lady Riola, I need to finish the laundry." Lu's words make her more thoughtful, blaming herself. The truth is she is still useless, just like Lu. She is just an outsider looking for unfamiliar things here. But then she smiles gently at Lu. She looks at Lu kindly. "Then I will help you, so hold my hand and stand up." Her action surprises Lu. She freezes for a moment, and deep inside, a smoldering fire of empathy begins to kindle. Urging her on, she feels strong enough to help this girl have a better life here. On another corridor in the palace, the footsteps of Hohan sound steadily. Aizen follows, trying to say, "Hohan, your majesty, we will investigate this matter. If you give us more time, don't worry. Nothing can be confirmed yet. We don't even know who did it, whether it was a deliberate drug swap or an accidental one." Hogan remains silent, his eyelids gently closing. He silently thinks he knows Aizen worries about him, so he feels more confused because it likely was switched by Riola, who is actually a spy. He remembers Jess and his words, "The medicine you took was fake. We only found out after you returned from the trip." Images of the medicine bottles flash in his mind. Jess's words echo again. "The medicine you brought along the way was definitely fake. I was the one who packed it myself. But when you returned and I checked, it turned out to be counterfeit, only looking like the real thing." He frowns slightly, thinking this was a very clever swap. There's no way there was a mistake here. Something like this couldn't happen internally. After all, each member of the group was confirmed by him. The image of him placing his hand on Aizen's head to verify confirms his thoughts. Now Aizen stands behind, looking confused at Hohan, while he keeps standing there thinking he has reviewed their past memories, current status, and their possible loyalty. He only chooses people willing to give their lives for him, so there's no way there's a spy in his group, meaning it must be someone he has met along the way, someone who knows about his illness, and accordingly, the image of Riola appears in his mind, a person close enough to him to swap his medicine, and able to hide their intentions in front of him. Her beautiful face and smile appear in his head. With that thought, he shakes his head and bites his lip. It hurts a lot to think it could be her, and suddenly he remembers Jess's words. "We still shouldn't trust that woman." It hurts a lot when I think it could be her, and suddenly he remembered Jess's words. "We still shouldn't trust that woman too quickly. Your Majesty, you should keep your distance from her." But he quickly shook off those thoughts and spoke up. "Is that what you're thinking, Aizen?" "Sorry, I don't understand," he replied. "I'm asking if you agree with Jess," Aizen said softly. "Oh, you look at your handsome emperor before you, unable to help but think that the emperor had spent his whole life fighting just to survive. You thought about the scene where Riola and Hohan were standing together, wishing he would act differently. Riola was ahead, and you also liked how he made selfish choices to get what he wanted. Instead of what's right, you quickly replied to Hohan, 'I hope that you.' Riola could never be a spy, though he said so. Aizen's heart was different and had many other reasons." He frowned slightly, determined to say, "Therefore, I believe we should investigate this matter thoroughly." Suddenly, a voice rang out, attracting the attention of both. They turned toward the source of the sound. He spoke loudly, "Your Majesty, the east wing is empty." Hohan stepped forward. The soldier bowed respectfully and replied, "According to the servant's report, Riola went outside alone." He was startled. "What? Where did she go?" He bit his lip anxiously. The other soldier's hesitant voice rang out, "Ah, I'm afraid she's in the laundry area." At that moment, the scene of Riola laughing and joking with Lu appeared. Scene changed to the laundry area where many people gathered, and Hogan just arrived to see this. Hogan was shocked. "Why is Riola in the laundry area? What happened?" Hogan said nothing. He approached the crowd. Lu's voice rang out, "Ah, Riola, please go outside. This is my job, not yours." The scene made him freeze. Her eyes widened in surprise. Riola just smiled and replied, "But my hand is injured. My knee still hurts from the fall." Lu smiled brightly at her. "It's okay. You don't know how good I am at this." Lu worried, "But if the Emperor finds out, what then?" Riola smiled reassuringly, "Oh, he won't know. And if he does, so what?" At that moment, she didn't notice, his eyes constantly staring at her. His thoughts appeared. "I feel exhausted. The heavy anxiety weighing on me suddenly disappeared, as if it never existed." Riola hadn't noticed him and still smiled at Lu, then suddenly looked up and saw him. That gentle gaze made Hohan even more captivated. His inner thoughts continued, and somehow, "I can't hate you." He called out to Riola, "Riola, you are like sunshine illuminating my life." At that moment, she truly looked beautiful in his eyes. She gently replied, "Ah, Your Majesty." He stepped toward her. The surrounding servants lined up respectfully and saluted him. "Your Majesty!" Lu covered her mouth in amazement. "The Emperor really came here," Hohan and Riola quickly explained. "Your Majesty, I was the one who insisted on trying this. If I just sit still, my body stiffens, so please don't blame Lu." Unlike her worry, he gently replied, "I know you're holding back." His thoughts arose again. Did I hear wrong? Is that really the Emperor's voice, sounding heavier than before? For some reason, her hand suddenly clenched Lu's skirt tightly. Lu, kneeling beside her, wasn't much better. Worry clearly showed on Riola's face as she and Hohan faced each other. The blue sky and drifting clouds slowly passed by with bright sunlight shining like a stage spotlight for the couple. Her emotions surged. The cool water and soap bubbles brought comfort to her feet. Teasing Lu was truly fun. The sunlight was warm and pleasant, and even better when someone usually busy came all the way here to see her. But as if knowing what she was thinking, Hohan spoke to reassure. I know, so you don't need to say anything more. She was slightly surprised. Your Majesty didn't seem to come here for that. Aizen saw the situation and quickly eased the tension. Everyone can go inside now and quickly return to work. He sighed and looked at the two. Lu looked around cluelessly to grasp the current situation. Looking at Hohan, he was just like that. He's the type who's cold on the outside but warm inside. His face is cold, but his words show he cares. Do you think I brought you to the West Wing and acted close to you for what? I want to make sure no one dares to offend you. I'm jealous, yet you voluntarily make a fool of yourself. Faced with his concern, she just lowered her head silently, feeling guilt rising inside her. He stepped closer but still spoke, ruining all my efforts in just a moment. Why did he walk to the basin and stop? I want to make him suffer more. Why is she silently sad, thinking? I just want Lu to feel better. I never thought I offended his kindness. She gently looked up. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I didn't think it through. She lifted her foot out of the basin. I never. But then she stumbled, which startled her. Han bent down, and now he used his hand to wrap around her waist. His other hand held hers, keeping her in place, looking straight into her eyes, saying, You still want to pour water on me? Their eyes met, wanting to stay close for a long time. His handsome face made her cheeks flush with a few pink spots. Then he lifted her up. She hurriedly explained to him, No, Your Majesty, this was just an accident. Then he gently put her down. He leaned his face close to hers. Before she could finish her apology, she had to stop because of his action. Her face was bright red. She looked up and whispered, No thank you, Your Majesty. He silently didn't answer and moved closer. She was shy and pushed him away with effort. Please let me go, Your Majesty. I can carry myself. Despite the servant's gazes around, he remained silent and didn't let go. She awkwardly stammered, We, Your Majesty. The servants were watching us. He suddenly lowered his head, an action that made her even more embarrassed. Huh? Han lowered his face to her shoulder, closed his eyes, enjoying the moment simply, but she thought differently. Could it be that he wanted them to think they were very close to warn them? That even if she walked barefoot and washed clothes with them, no one dared to think of offending her because His Majesty valued her greatly. He ignored her and still bowed his head, rubbing his face against her shoulder, holding her tightly like a child. The scene was filled with a rosy hue. She gently clung to his clothes, her mind wandering, No, he's punishing me. Her face was now as red as a tomato. Her thoughts were still chaotic. My heart is beating so fast. I'm sure he can hear it. Even knowing his intention, her heart couldn't calm down. She softly called, Your Majesty. Her voice made him open his eyes. She pushed him to stand up, blushing and shyly said, I think that's enough. He spoke reproachfully. Why are you like this? She froze. Yes. He wanted to say something but stopped, his eyes showing disappointment. Then he released her hand. Nothing, he continued. Tonight we will dine together, then go back to the room and change clothes before heading to my chamber. His words surprised her. Then he turned and left. She stood stunned for a moment, then exclaimed, Oh. In the hallway, Eason continuously followed him. He called out to His Majesty, but he only lowered his face, using his hand to cover his face, tiredly saying, Later. Eason sighed. His Majesty seemed to understand his meaning. He replied, I will check it myself later, so don't say anything to Riola. Meanwhile, on her side, Lu quickly ran to her. Changing the angle of view, a voice spoke up in the silence, according to what the experts have concluded. We are certain the medicine was swapped after His Highness arrived at the kingdom. That must be why the Emperor had seizures. A mysterious vial appeared in Jazz's thoughts. He said, The problem is we still don't know what the fake medicine contains, although no poison was found inside. We still don't know what ingredients it was made from. Jess sat at the table, looking at the paper, rubbing his temples. He continued, We need to find that spy as soon as possible, but even if the Emperor rushed out to catch that woman, now he's having dinner with her. Aizen sat opposite, also troubled by this matter. He lowered his head tiredly, supporting it with his hand, sighing softly. Jess grumbled. He can't read her mind, yet he still embraces her passionately. How? He immediately thought of Hohan being intimate with Riola. Aizen was helpless. He's clearly struggling, so stop complaining. Jess was angry. But what about my feelings? This can't go on. Aizen, let's quickly find something while His Majesty is dining with her. We will search the carriage she rode in, and also interrogate the girl who accompanied her, named Lu, right? Hearing this, Aizen immediately reacted, standing up. What? What did you say? The Emperor said he would handle this. We will search the carriage she took and also interrogate the girl who went with her, named Lu, right? Hearing that, Aizen immediately reacted, standing up. What? What did you say? The Emperor said he would handle this. We should step back, and Jess cut him off. His Majesty won't be able to do it. He frowned. You know that. This is something we have to do. Jess bluntly turned and walked away. If you can't do it, then let me. Luckily, I'm not too close to her yet, Aizen exclaimed. Wait, Jess. Jess lowered his head slightly, his brows furrowing. Deep inside, he began to think it was not yet possible. The scene closed with Riola standing before Hohan, smiling and saying, I just think that around His Majesty, there are many wonderful people. Even if it's SAO, I will patiently wait. In front of her now was a table already set with dishes. She was silent for a moment, then spoke, "Until you know what kind of person I am. And how will you treat me?" As soon as the words finished, they were pulled into Hohan's ear. He frowned, not responding. Her hand trembled slightly from worry, but she did not stop. "When you have made your judgment about me, please tell me." He looked into her eyes, thinking to himself. She spoke those words with eyes full of innocence, which made him uncomfortable. The current situation. She was still standing opposite him. Both looked at each other silently, skipping lightly over that part. In a room, the door was slightly ajar but enough to see clearly. Jess and Eisen were sneaking around doing something inside. Jess opened the cabinet drawer, but there was nothing inside. Eisen spoke admiringly. "Oh my God, do you think you'll find something with just 6 bottles here?" Jess ignored and turned away with an uneasy tone. "I know you're hoping I won't find anything." As soon as Jess said that, Eisen immediately got angry. He just wanted to punch him in the head right now. Talking was really annoying. Jess turned to him and shrugged. "Stop trying to hit me and focus on searching." Eisen really exploded. He got mad. "I told you there's nothing here," Jess challenged him, not even opening that wardrobe yet. Eisen was immediately speechless. As if blocked by glue when preparing to shoot the enemy, he tried to explain, "I can't open a woman's wardrobe like that." Jess was annoyed now. He pushed Eisen aside roughly, saying, "Then get out of the way and let me do it." Eisen shouted, "Jess, don't." Jess looked at Eisen, who was flustered. He thought to himself, Eisen is too soft-hearted. He frowned slightly, determined that in this case, someone had to be the bad guy. So, he had to do it himself. Then he opened the wardrobe door, but inside was just an empty, hollow space. There was nothing at all. The candle still burned in the room. Riola softly called, "Your Majesty." He turned his head and glanced at her. A small noise echoed in the silent space. He put the knife in his hand down. Looking at Riola sitting opposite, she lightly touched the plate, inwardly feeling torn and lonely, waiting for something perfect, but she closed her eyes tightly, furrowed her brows slightly, biting her lip, hesitating. She was embarrassed, thinking to herself, the atmosphere here is too heavy, and her mind was wandering. Could it be that he was still angry about her being in the laundry area? But he invited her to dinner with him. She thought he wanted to reconcile. Then she looked up and started a conversation to break the silence and awkward atmosphere. I'm dressed too flashy, aren't I?" Everyone insisted on choosing it. He did not answer, just lowered his head. That action made her misunderstand and quickly said, "I chose the simplest dress already, but even so, does it look strange on me?" She was embarrassed, reaching out her hand, trying to explain. It seemed very difficult for her to fit into this palace. She came to the laundry alone without telling anyone. "Please tell me. I'm not making excuses. I'm sorry, but I apologize for what I did." Seeing him silent without responding, she continued, "I didn't know my behavior affected your Majesty's reputation." She looked remorseful, sincerely apologizing. Embarrassed, she continued, "I don't know why I said that." He responded with the usual silence of a lamb from Hohan's position, but he quickly spoke after a while. "You didn't cause any serious offense. You don't need to blame yourself so harshly." His comforting words surprised her. He raised his brow. "But you did something thoughtless, so you deserve to be reprimanded. I could easily use my authority to punish the maids in the West Wing. Why do you show weakness like that?" he thought to himself. She might say she can't do such things, that she is scared, or that she doesn't want to cause trouble. She breathed a sigh of relief. "But those people are your subordinates, your Majesty." As soon as Hohan said that, he stiffened, confused. "My subordinates," she lowered her head. "Maybe they weren't personally selected by you, but they all came here to serve you. They certainly didn't come here because of me." Her beautiful eyes gently closed as she continued speaking. "All of them belong to noble families, so naturally, they will become useful to you later, so I can't treat them carelessly." He smirked, a hint of joy appearing on his face. He thought to himself, maybe Riola could become a spy. He clenched the necklace in his hand. He pondered, how could a woman who should have spent her life only with mercenaries talk about politics so naturally? But he quickly shook off that thought. He stood up and gently walked over to her. "Here, Riola," he said. She was momentarily stunned and then asked, "Huh? What is it?" He didn't answer. Instead, walking around the chair and placing his hand on her shoulder, making her uneasy, she hesitated. "Your Majesty?" He raised the necklace, showing the oval pendant, with a sword symbol in the center. Seeing it, she was stunned and looked at it, thinking she once treasured it deeply, but its weight sometimes made her feel suffocated. Hohan spoke up, "I found it when I saved you at Leader last year." He handed it to her. She gently lifted the pendant with her hand, recalling it was the old pendant bearing the symbol of Han's mercenary group. She looked at the pendant thoughtfully. She thought she had lost it when she fell into the river, but His Majesty kept it all along. Suddenly, she realized something. Her eyes widened. So, as if understanding her thoughts, he suddenly spoke, making her turn sharply toward him, instinctively clutching the pendant to hide it. He said, "That night I already knew who you were. I knew that mercenary group was watching me, and I also knew their symbol. Saving you at the Leader River was just a coincidence. But since you are a member of that group, I knew you might deliberately approach me." Every word he spoke surprised her a little. She panicked and stood up. "Your Majesty, that's not true," she hurriedly explained. I swear, at that time I didn't know who you were, nor did I know my group's intentions. Her lips parted slightly. He replied, I stayed awake all night watching you. That night I thought about eliminating you immediately. She was shocked by his words. Fear appeared clearly on her face. Her thoughts surfaced again. It's not surprising that when we met again at the royal palace, he was the one to carry out the sentence. But it seemed he was talking about that now, because he wanted her to see him as a villain. Naturally, her hands clenched the dress tightly. But you didn't kill me. That answer came from him immediately. She frowned. Why? She asked, unsure. Why didn't I kill you? Why did I pretend to sleep when I saw you cry? Why did I let you escape? He continued speaking. Just like when we were in Riola, or at the welcome party, and when you were in the medical area, there was no reason for me to let you live. I had hundreds, no, thousands of chances to end this. He looked down at the plate of meat on the table. Even he didn't understand why he acted that way, but he always kept her close. Now look at us. All my choices to let you sit at this table were intentional. His eyes glanced coldly at the knife on the table. In a cold tone, he said, There is a spy in my palace. She froze. Spy? His voice lowered as he continued. I don't know who it is, but that person is very close to me and threatens my life. Clues appeared in his mind. The pendant, the mercenary group's symbol, the Emperor's past choices, and now a spy returning to the present. He said a sentence like a thunderbolt. She suspected. You think I am the spy? What is happening? The scene closed and shifted to another image of Jess and Eisen. A bottle of medicine appeared. A hesitant voice sounded, but was quickly replaced by the thought, what should I do now? Jess grabbed the cabinet door handle to open it. He turned back worriedly, looking at Eisen, who was just like him behind. Silently thinking, before I fully understand all this, His Majesty, even so. The thought was cut off and replaced by Hohan's voice. I think I will still choose to keep you by my side. That sentence truly moved Riola. She pressed her lips. The thought was cut off, replaced by Hohan's voice. I think I would still choose to keep you by my side. This truly moved Riola. She pressed her lips. Tears welled up, almost crying, but inside she told herself she didn't understand what was happening. But I can't stop crying, he softly continued. I gave you my choice, so I hope you'll answer me honestly. Riola Branitor, what are you to me? The words brought a gentle breeze into the room, causing the candle flame to flicker slightly. Like her current feelings, he frowned and moved closer to her. She looked up, about to say something, but before she could, a loud call interrupted. His Majesty Eisen quickly flung the door open, sweat dripping from his face. Behind him was Jess, panting heavily. She suddenly turned toward the door. Eisen wore a troubled expression and said, I apologize for barging in without permission, Your Majesty. Please hand over Riola to us. His words made Hohan confused. He turned to ask for an explanation. We found evidence in her bedroom. His voice echoed throughout the room. Every word was heard clearly. Riola's face fell. They found evidence? What evidence are you talking about? She firmly asserted. I am not a spy. Jess was annoyed. You've erased all the evidence, huh? Riola placed her hand on her chest and shouted, I am not a spy, I swear. No one hired me to harm His Majesty. I would never harm you. After speaking, she cried and gasped for breath, unable to hold back as tears fell. Why do I have to beg them like this? Her voice was gentle yet helpless. I really am not a traitor, she painfully thought inside. Why am I being cornered again? Why can those I cherish so deeply treat me so coldly? It was unfair, frustrating, and painful, but His Majesty needed an answer from her. She couldn't prove her innocence in the Riola kingdom, not only because she was poisoned, but also because she no longer had the will to fight. Riola helplessly clutched her chest, telling herself that now things would be different. And she firmly asserted, no, it's not me. Riola, exhausted, covered her face. No. Hohan had no choice but to decide that from now on, Riola Benita would be confined. Hearing this, Riola was startled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. But Eisen nodded cautiously. Yes, Your Majesty. Then he gently put his hand on her shoulder, looked at her softly, and said, she will be confined in my bedroom. Eisen immediately protested. But Your Majesty, Jess also angrily shouted, what? Riola looked at him in surprise. Hohan firmly said each word to prove her innocence as soon as possible. Keeping her here is better than elsewhere, but everyone in the palace has already heard rumors about our relationship, so no one will suspect me for keeping her in my room for a few days. The two hesitated, but Your Majesty, about that? He cut them off. Riola has nothing in her hands, and even if she held a sword, you know well she can't wield it. Riola smiled wryly, thinking he was calling her weak again. Hohan lowered his voice and ordered all servants to stay out of the room and stationed guards at the door. Eisen, if you still need to interrogate Riola, come to my room and ask yourself. That is the order. Eisen could only obey and nodded respectfully. I understand, Your Majesty. Then the two of them left together. Riola still couldn't believe it and stared after them. Hohan gently lifted her chin. I heard your answer clearly, Riola. Being locked in a room must be very uncomfortable, but you must be patient. You can enjoy my bubble bath if you want. She frowned and smiled wryly. His joke was really bad. Then she coquettishly rubbed her cheek against his palm. Riola thought, His Majesty said this is to prove my innocence, not to prove I'm the culprit. That's all I need. She reached out to grab his shirt. Your Majesty, she murmured inside. If he believes me, Then even if I'm in a dungeon, I don't care if it's his bedroom. Hohan gently held her hand and bowed his head to comfort her. Because you chose me, I will prove your innocence. In another room, Aizen reported, I have brought Riola to your majesty's room. Oh my, I'm a woman too, so I'm already beloved by his majesty. Jess crossed her arms angrily. Are you blind? Even if you were a woman, that wouldn't happen. She rushed to shake him. How could it not? Hohan frowned sadly. He kept staring at the fake medicine bottle in front of him. Jess cleared his throat. Ah, your majesty has seen all the medical records. Even if you were a woman, that wouldn't happen. You rushed forward and shook him hard. How could it not? Hohan frowned sadly. He kept staring at the fake medicine bottle in front of his majesty. Jess cleared his throat softly. Ah, it seems his majesty has seen all the medical records. Your majesty, these are notes from when you were still in the Riola kingdom, and I'm sure that these records were made by your doctor at that time. This thing is considered a fake medicine, that you took during that period, your majesty. It reacts similarly to many chemical substances. Hohan reached out to grab the medicine bottle. The name that created this medicine is quite clever, he agreed. The texture and color are almost identical to the real medicine. You hold the bottle. Hundreds of thousands of people want to find where it came from. Jess answered without hesitation, in the West Wing, or rather in Riola Hohan's wardrobe, fondling the bottle in hand while criticizing. So you two searched Riola's room, Aizen explained in panic. He insisted on searching her room. So Jess smiled proudly. That's right, I was the one who insisted on doing so. That's why I found it. I did well, didn't I? He firmly placed the bottle on the table. If Riola is a traitor, then she wouldn't be careless enough to leave it in her wardrobe. Surely someone wants to harm her. The two looked at each other and sprayed glue. Aizen nodded, slightly signaling. He seriously agreed. We thought so too. He was unhappy and pouted. I am not. Aizen, annoyed, grabbed his collar. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Hohan was satisfied, slightly tilted his head and smiled. Maybe this is why Jess didn't mention punishing her immediately. Jess was pinched on the cheek but still glanced at him. He silently calculated, surely not because of her reaction. There was no trace of deceit in her eyes or words. Indeed, I was shaken, but this matter is unrelated. Ha ha ha. The arm may be small, but there are countless people. Are you planning to read all their testimonies at once? Hohan calmly nodded. Yes, call them all. Jess tried to persuade. Your Majesty, you must not do that. I say this as your doctor, Your Majesty. Please do not use your power again today. It has not even been a few hours since your symptoms eased. If you use your power again, it will be very dangerous. Hohan calmly stepped forward and shook Aizen strongly. Hurry and prepare them. He was ignored, so he clenched his teeth in frustration. Hohan turned to look at him. Jess, at this moment, knelt down. Your Majesty, I beg you. Please give me more time to find another way. He was stunned. Jess bowed lower. You promised me you would live a long life. Hohan frowned. Even so, living one more year or one more day won't change anything. Then he placed his hand on Jess's shoulder. Hohan knelt on one knee. Inwardly, he thought, my will to live is not strong enough to listen to the pleas of others. What I desire now is the woman who is enduring this with resilient willpower. He lowered his voice. I apologize to you. In the great hall, the servants and maids are chatting. All the maids and servants will be rewarded. It feels like a dream. We get to meet the Emperor in person at this moment. Your Majesty will surely reward us for taking care of Coriella. Then when they called me, I was sleeping. Oh my God, it's really hard to find. Am I dreaming? We respectfully greet Your Majesty. One by one, they stepped up to receive gifts from Hohan. He took the opportunity to read their thoughts. I haven't even met her yet. Truly lucky. This is wonderful. Your Majesty remembers my name. Maybe I have a chance to become the Moon Queen. What should I name our child? Do I look normal? What should I do now? My hands are sweating. Your Majesty cares about her that much? That woman Riola has such a great influence on Your Majesty? If I had known, I wouldn't have done that. We really shouldn't have brought her to the laundry area to escape. Must remind the others not to say a word. Hohan read their thoughts for a while, then realized, so that's it. I heard the maids talk a lot about why Riola appeared in the laundry area today. The maids who volunteered to work in the West Wing to approach Riola all had hidden motives, but they are not spies, and most of the servants have never seen Riola, and she has been in her room for 2 days straight. All I know is the only time the West Wing was empty was when Riola was in the laundry area. But I still haven't found a witness to provide more information. Unbelievable that no proper soldier was assigned to the West Wing after Riola was transferred here. No. Suddenly everything darkened. Aizen panicked and shouted, Your Majesty, you can't do this. Please stop. He firmly refused. Not yet. The witness must be here. He immediately waved his hand to order when he saw he was reaching his limit. Everyone stepped back. Today is enough. The explosion frowned in panic. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. Hohan was a bit surprised to see him, the explosion said. Why are you here? Where is Jess? He stepped forward to explain, Lord Jess also seems not very well. He is pouring pheromones into jars. The image of Jess appeared. Why do I have to be a doctor when the patient is trying to kill himself? He anxiously stood up. What? The explosion was sweating, he said. He needs to prepare for the preservation of a large animal corpse. It seems he is drunk. I think he even cried. The corner of his mouth twitched up. Funny, I ignored him even though he knelt down and begged. It's not surprising that he sulks like that, feeling guilty, but this is not the first time similar things have happened. It also happened when I left the camp at Leader River, or when I skipped medicine a few times. At that time, Jess was not the one taking care of me, but the explosion. The explosion is Jess's student, and he is currently the head of the medical department. It's been nearly 5 years since he has worked for me. It means he can be trusted. But the explosion could also be the one who leaked confidential information or swapped my medicine. And the explosion was also the one beside me on the trip. Not Jess. Hohan lowered his voice. The explosion. What did you do this morning? The explosion was startled. Yes, sir. This morning. Actually, he was surprised. Could it really be the explosion? He calmly replied, I went to sleep, sir. Sorry for sleeping during office hours. I have rearranged all the notes. I recorded everything during the trip to the kingdom and reported it to Lord Jess. Then, because I felt comfortable, I apologize, Hohan, for you and you have never been to the West Wing. The explosion firmly confirmed. This is the first time I have been here. Why, do you ask? An image appeared in his mind, a series of memories about what he had confessed. That's right, his memory and explanation completely matched without any sign of lying. I can't believe I doubted the explosion. I must be crazy, but I promised to prove Riola's innocence. He worriedly leaned forward. Your Majesty, if that is really him, then he is truly mad. Almost no one can do what you are doing now, sir, so please don't blame yourself. Although the explosion said so, Han couldn't help but worry. But all I can do is doubt my close servant. Those who can sacrifice their lives for me, all I do is observe them and betray their trust. The explosion reassured him. For the rest of the time, please don't worry and just rest. Your Majesty, he told himself, I drank the entire emergency medicine bottle, but still couldn't recover my strength. They wanted to guard me all night, but I was able to drive them away. I can't help but doubt everyone tonight. Compared to nights like this, I don't want anyone inside my bedroom. Riola spoke. Your Majesty, they still think silently while she teared up and rushed to him. Why can't you read my mind? He continued his thoughts. Even Riola Granitor was a bit surprised. Why do you know that? Riola cried and said, You told me I am the only one you can't understand, so why can you trust me? Why don't you drive me away? He trembled, tightly holding my hand. I have something to ask you. Riola Granitor, why are you so different? Why do you confuse me by going against my expectations? He muttered in his mind. I know this is not your fault, but I still have to be angry. It's all my fault for having to bear this strange curse. But even so, I still can't control my baseless anger towards you. Riola sadly continued. I want to show you. Your Majesty, I don't want you to doubt me. I don't care about being abandoned by others, but I don't want you to abandon me. I heard that. Your power reaches its maximum when touching another person's body, so please accept me. Riola whispered in his ear, please hold me. Hohan blushed like a tomato. Did you know what you just said? She nodded softly. Memories flashed through his mind along with tangled thoughts. I have researched everything related to the Emperor and his power, Jess once said. Your Majesty can read others' thoughts. Riola was a bit confused. Sorry, he gestured with his hands and feet to explain. Although this case is very rare, there are still a few people with power, but the price to pay for that power is, his fate is to live a short and painful life. Usually, most people with this power cannot survive past their teenage years. She nodded slightly but still thought he had bad intentions. Why did he suddenly say, tell me this, it will help find the traitor, Riola thought silently. Did he just drink? The strong smell of alcohol on him. Jess staggered and scolded. But His Majesty is still alive? She asked. Yes, it's all thanks to me. I have spent my whole life analyzing every gesture, every drop of His Majesty's sweat. Riola anxiously rushed forward, reaching out to support him. Yes, sir. What are you saying? He kept rambling that all those outside with this power died because they didn't have a doctor like me. But even a talented doctor like me cannot extend His Majesty's life any longer. Heaven, nothing can overcome His Majesty's stubbornness. He is willing to die for it, so I don't care anymore. If he wants to die, just let him be. She asked again, can His Majesty really read other people's minds? Jess shouted angrily. His Majesty heard me bad-mouthing her, and he heard you bad-mouthing him. Wait, no, he can't read your thoughts. You're the only person he can't read. Isn't that strange? Riola was sweating nervously, wondering if he could read others' minds. How could that be? But when she thought back, she recalled Hohan's gentle moments with her. Are you hurt? Riola kept thinking, even when facing the princess. He was very kind to her. Whenever, just tell me. I want to know if something is hurting you. Riola carefully recalled every moment and immediately recognized it was Fabian. So the Emperor really can read others' minds. Jess's face flushed. What is she hiding? Riola kept pondering, but he frowned sadly. What are you hiding that makes my Emperor so desperate? She wondered again. He can't read minds. He once said he was curious and wanted to know more about her. He said he needed to know how he held her in pain in the laundry area. Those were all his desperate efforts, to read her thoughts. She didn't realize she was the one causing His Majesty's confusion. After a moment, Riola trembled and replied, I am not hiding anything from the Emperor. On the other hand, I want to show him what I have. Jess, what should I do? Jess was silent for a moment, then suddenly lowered her voice. Do you really want to know? The final flashback ended. That's how I found out, and now I won't look back. At this moment, Riola was holding Hohan tightly, her eyes sincere. Her Majesty Hohan raised his eyebrows. I can feel the pain controlling my whole body, every bit turning into pleasure, as if my body had been waiting for it for a long time. He stretched his neck, gently kissed her ear, then moved down to her chest, caressing. Hohan gently reminded her, "Just breathe. We can't let you faint again." Riola cautiously placed her hand on his shoulder. He silently planned to soothe her, nothing but desire. His lips slightly curled in praise. Good. Fingers carefully slipped into her dress straps, then decisively tore off the dress, which slipped off her body and fell to the floor. Hohan carried her in his arms. "I need you right now more than anyone else." The atmosphere became very tense. Riola moaned softly on the bed. "Ah," he lowered his voice. "This is your last chance. I will give you 5 seconds. If you want me to stop, say it now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Almost done counting. Then he suddenly froze. Extremely surprised, staring at her, Hohan was slightly alarmed, his face darkened, disbelief in his eyes. "No," he softly called her name, "Riola." Hohan gently touched her cheek. "No way," her mouth stammered. "Riola, Riola, huh? Did you really come here to torment me?" Suffering in the wine cellar, Jess kept nagging, "Your Majesty, Your Majesty." Eisen helplessly pleaded, "Please wake up." "Jess, he was on your back," shouting, "My Majesty." You angrily yelled, "Ugh, stop it now." Today, Eisen angrily gritted his teeth, creaking, "I can't believe it. An old man like him disappeared all night. He didn't even appreciate that I found him. Should I throw him out into the yard?" At that moment, you rushed in, cursing, "Where have you been all night? And how could you get in here?" "I swear, yes." He nodded repeatedly, shouting. "Hohan," you helplessly asked, "Are you done?" Jess sadly lay with his head on his back, then asked if the Emperor was dead yet. Eisen immediately replied, "Not yet. Still not." He kept mumbling, "So is he dying gradually? You still bother to open your mouth." "I guess so," Jess continued. "We still haven't found the traitor, right? Hurry up, let's go. Put me down." Eisen suddenly stared at him. "Where are you going? Are you feeling better?" He resolutely stepped forward, looking at Jess's back, unable to help but think silently. "It must be me who disappointed both myself and you, Jess." Jess stepped up to ask a soldier, "Where is the Emperor now?" He turned toward the door and solemnly replied, "He is inside." Jess hesitated a bit, not daring to enter. I saw Eisen pat his shoulder to comfort him. "I'm sure he will be fine. He has overexerted himself. But it's not as bad as you think. He has taken a lot of emergency medicine after returning." He hesitated silently, still pulling the door. But even though he said that, in an emergency situation, it should only be used when truly urgent. It's a medicine only to be taken if he is in a life-threatening condition. It's very strong and unpleasant, so it will exhaust his body. He stood frozen in front of Hohan's bed, eyes tightly shut, unwilling to face the truth. He was sure His Majesty was lying on the bed like a lifeless corpse. I'm not worthy to be his doctor. It must be me who disappointed him, so I should leave. While in this mood, suddenly Hohan shouted, "Get out!" Jess was startled and looked up at him. He muttered in his mind, "Why does his voice sound normal?" Jess was about to say something when the Emperor put his finger to his lips, signaling him to be silent. He and the woman were lying on the bed, apparently just finished making love. Riola was still sleeping soundly in his arms. Jess panicked, holding his head, mouth agape, stammering, what? No way, how?" Han softly scolded, "I told you to be quiet," but Jess couldn't accept it, his mind racing with many thoughts. Why does he still look healthy? I thought he took emergency medicine. Could it have backfired? Because he used it too much? Why does he still look so healthy? More importantly, what is that woman doing here? Wait, the bright sunlight shines through the window into the room. Riola Maiman turned over, lying neatly in his arms. It's cold. Hohan pulled the blanket up to cover her body, causing her to let out a slight sound. He exclaimed teasingly, "Oh my." Riola's eyes gradually opened. A fragrant scent before her was Hohan lying naked, smiling contentedly. Riola suddenly startled, he gently spoke. "Something just startled me. I think you forgot to breathe too." She sweated nervously, thinking, "No, Your Majesty is mistaken. Wouldn't anyone in this situation feel breathless?" Haha, a subtle reminder. You're still alive. 2 tears streamed down her flushed face. I think not. Riola shyly raised her hand to cover her face. "Good morning, Your Majesty." He propped his hand up, squinting and smiling brightly. "You seem quite troubled this morning, huh?" She pulled the blanket up to hide her embarrassment. His expression now looked very sinister. "How long do you plan to keep this up?" Riola hesitated until His Majesty left. Hohan teased, "This is my room, so I can go anywhere." She was helpless, silently thinking. "Then I will bury my face until I die," he said while removing the blanket covering her. "That won't kill you either. Give up and let me see your face." Riola suddenly widened her eyes, eagerly sitting up. "You read my mind? Then surely our effort succeeded." Han raised his eyebrows in confusion. "What? Effort succeeded? What are you talking about?" Riola was startled, scratching her face. "No, I don't remember clearly." "No?" He sat up straight. "I'm sure you won't remember," she answered cautiously. "So you fainted again?" Hohan looked at her. "Is that right? Usually when you're excited, you faint." Riola frowned worriedly. "I fainted? A similar thing happened before. when I met the Emperor, when I kissed him. It was fine. A series of memories flashed through her mind. My dress fell to the floor, and Hohan gently lifted her up. Riola murmured in her mind. And when I reached his bed, there was still no problem. She nervously told him, "Why did you let me sleep here? You should have woken me and kicked me out." He sighed softly. "I think I didn't try hard enough, or why?" Riola helplessly shed tears. "I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that." "Oh, or should we try again now? I slept very well, so this time it should succeed," Hohan asked confusedly. "What?" Riola picked up the shirt beside her, putting it on while saying she would try to stay awake. But before that, I have to drink some water. This time I will prove to you I'm not hiding anything." So in her strange actions, he told himself. But now that's unnecessary, because I have found the traitor's name. Seeing him stare at her, she blushed a bit. "I'm ready." Jess sighed deeply. "Oh my god, when will he come out?" Seeing Hohan step out, they both rushed forward. "Your Majesty." Jess leaned to look out the door to observe. Then suddenly he covered himself completely with a blanket. So embarrassed. "What happened?" He answered calmly. She seemed shy. "I think there's also delusion because she hasn't proven her innocence." He was a bit jealous. "Her feelings are not what I want to talk about. I want to know how you feel, Your Majesty." "Ha ha ha, calm down and speak. How I look is exactly how I feel." Jess was blinded by his aura so much he had to raise his hand to shield in front of me. "I see it already." "But hasn't he become more handsome than before?" "But how? I thought he wouldn't be able to function normally." "If it stays like this for a few days, it seems that medicine also works. Or maybe Your Majesty is just closer to death." After reassuring himself, he asked about the voices. "Do you still hear them?" Hohan delusion turned away. "Compared to last night, they have lessened, but they are still there." Jess thought while recalling yesterday before he summoned all the servants. "The day before, Your Majesty told us about the symptom changes. That strange thing. He once told me I could hear some voices even sitting here. I can still read your thoughts." He nodded understandingly. "Are your symptoms still the same?" They interpreted that it's even worse. "I can hear the thoughts of the servants in the West Wing. I can hear the librarians and gate guards' thoughts too. Apparently, everyone awake in this palace. I can hear everything, and no matter what, I'm not feeling any pain at all. So don't worry, I will explain everything after Riola wakes up. You rest and wait for my orders to return to reality." They stood looking at each other, spraying glue. He lowered his voice. "Last night I heard the voice of someone who seemed to be the traitor." Eisen happily exclaimed, "What? Why didn't you tell us earlier?" Hogan didn't look very happy. "There are still things I need to confirm. You're still smiling broadly. What else needs confirming?" "That person is AI. Where is he? I will catch him immediately," he whispered. Let's go." Jess suddenly looked back to watch. He suggested, "I will follow you after I make sure Riola is okay, or I will go to the lab." "Ha ha ha," Hohan ordered. "Jess, you come with me too." Jess glanced at him in surprise. "What?" He thought silently. "I thought he wanted me to check Riola's health even though the traitor is outside." His face still expressionless, he ordered, "You need to stay by my side, Jess." Jess raised his eyebrows confused, leading ahead. Eisen and Jess followed them, walking proudly together. Jess pouted annoyed. "I'd bet a 5-year research project that this spy is at least a chief. That's the most reasonable explanation for his seriousness." Suddenly, he stopped. Jess hesitated. Your Majesty saw his steps stop and curiously asked, "I thought we were going to the spy's place. Why are we here?" "This is my research lab, Your Majesty." "Wait, Your Majesty, I really don't like Riola." "But only because she won't leave Your Majesty's side." Azon held him tightly. Jess kept nagging. "Because I was drunk and messed everything up. I also considered preserving Your Majesty's corpse after death." But I never Hairhand pushed the door open while telling Jess not to speculate. "That's right, Jess. Your Majesty never doubts you. You were too drunk yesterday, so now you've lost your mind?" He was very uneasy, frowning. "Why are we here?" He lowered his voice. "The traitor is right here." Jess looked in his direction. Hohan continued, "He stole your key." In front of them was a man with purple hair who slowly spoke each word as he destroyed all the evidence, the explosions sounding. In his hand was a fake medicine bottle. Jess stomped his foot and tried to step forward. "Hey, are you crazy?" The explosions sounded. "Hey, what do you think you're doing here?" Hohan, full of murderous intent, stared at him. The man softly spoke, "Catch him and bring him to me." Eisen angrily shouted, "Why do you want to destroy all the evidence?" The explosions sounded. "You know that. This evidence is crucial to find the traitor that Jess has been working for hours to analyze that medicine. So why would you?" He stepped forward to block him. "Enough, Eisen. From the start, I was the one who chose and trained him." "Explosions, tell me why you betrayed me. Why betray His Majesty? How could you do this?" Eisen frowned behind him. Jess hesitated and opened his mouth. I don't know." Jess suddenly shouted, the explosion sounding. He helplessly bent down. "I can't remember." The man angrily stepped forward. "You idiot. Don't pretend you don't remember anymore." Tears streamed down the explosion's face. "I swear, I don't. I really don't remember anything." Jess lost patience, grabbed his collar, and raised a fist with the other hand. He firmly asserted, "Why would I dare betray you, sir? Yes, why would I do such a terrible thing to the royal family? I would never betray His Majesty. If I did, just kill me right here." He gritted his teeth in frustration. The explosions tried to explain. "The Emperor needed urgent treatment in the West Wing last night. After bringing him back to his room, I left to avoid disturbing him. I was always on duty at the clinic." I think I fell asleep then. That's all I remember, so I don't know why I went to his room or what I was doing there. Jess looked at Hohan, tilting his head slightly. You don't know what you're doing, do you? He desperately collapsed deeper until his head hit the floor. No, sir. I just regained consciousness after you. Jess grabbed him. Jess raised his hand to cover half his face. You know His Majesty's abilities. You can't lie. The explosion's tears still flowed as Hohan brought his hand closer. I know the other two are watching anxiously. He muttered under his breath. I can't read him, but I heard the explosion's voice all last night. As he spoke, he recalled it. If we don't destroy it now, it'll be hard to clean up later. The Emperor's guards aren't here. I should, he continued, his voice intending to enter Jess's room and destroy all the evidence. Surely that was the explosion's voice, and we saw him carry out that plan. But the explosions clenched his teeth in pain as Hohan continued to explain. Now I can't read his thoughts or hear his voice about what he did anymore. The explosion's memory stopped at him falling asleep in the clinic, just as he said. Jess, hearing this, stepped closer and grabbed his hand. Clearly the explosions are the one who did this, but he doesn't remember or realize it. So how? He tightened his grip. Jess lowered his voice. Your Majesty, please leave the explosions with me. I will confine him so he won't do this again. I will do everything, even torture him, to reveal the truth. Hohan hesitated slightly. Jess said, Isn't that a bit? He held his hand. Please, allow me, otherwise I'll go crazy. Your Majesty, please. The man anxiously frowned but nodded. Permission granted. Do as you wish. In the distant, ornate room, Eisen spoke. I have informed them to cancel all plans for today. Hohan sadly lowered his head. You're really rich in troubles, he sighed. Eisen continued. Or maybe it's like sleepwalking. He frowned. What he did was too detailed. Sleepwalking can't explain that. He spent a lot of effort swapping my medicine during that time, then framed Riola and even tried to destroy the evidence. No, he shook his head to dismiss the idea. Then somehow was hypnotized? No, sorry, maybe I imagined it. Hohan agreed with him. Me too. I want to believe he's innocent, no matter how illogical the explanation. There must be an explanation for this. Han agrees with you. Like you, I want to believe he is innocent, no matter how unreasonable the explanation is. There must be a reason for this. Yes. Eisen anxiously clasped his hands together. Yes, I hope so too. Then please rest, he muttered in his mind. This was also the moment when his power turned into a curse. If I keep pretending to be indifferent, at least I won't feel this kind of pain. Hohan collapsed onto the bed. He gently patted his chest. I can't breathe. Hohan uncomfortably fumbled with his shirt button, tired and bored. This isn't a symptom of the illness or a side effect of the medicine. Huh? I'm so dizzy I feel like I'm going to vomit. I need something, even though I don't know what it is. But without it, I will die. I need something to keep me in this world. Even if that thing is very small, suddenly a small hand gently touched his hand. It was Riola beside him. He suddenly opened his eyes wide. Ha ha ha, when you started talking, I thought you were in another room. Riola smiled softly. I've been here for a while, but I don't know when I should appear. You look so tense. She pulled him up to sit, but he sank back into his thoughts. So she has silently been observing me all this time and I didn't know what to do. What now? Then she reported to him. I did exactly as you instructed this morning, Your Majesty. I didn't leave the room and just relaxed. I also ate everything the servant brought. He listened attentively to every word, then turned to praise her. Very good, Riola. He leaned in with a bright smile. Have you eaten, Your Majesty? Aren't you hungry? Do you want some cake? I saved a piece for you. Hohan smiled softly. I thought you said you already ate, he thought silently. She didn't ask about what happened or the reason why I am so tired and in pain. When everyone forgot about my meal, she was the one who asked if I had eaten. Riola proudly said, It was delicious, Your Highness. He gently said, If it was that good, you should have eaten it all. She was a little dissatisfied but thought maybe he would like it too. Yes, Hohan smiled broadly. Then bring it here and let's eat together. Riola also smiled brightly like a flower. Yes. Then she quickly changed the subject. Walking continuously is really hard. Han is really cruel. At that time, I was only 12 years old. He could let me ride the carriage, right? But that night, my feet were all swollen. I was very upset. It wasn't even a carriage. Fabian stole some candies to cheer me up. He joined her story, that ridiculous name. She confirmed, yes, Fabian is ridiculous. Hohan silently scolded himself for being pathetic. Riola kept saying, I was going to hold a grudge, but actually I even thought about secretly running away that night. He couldn't stop thinking, I can have anything I want at any time. Yet she was willing to share a part of hers. Did she still feel grateful for a small candy? She continued, but that candy was really delicious. Hohan smiled satisfied. Maybe the only thing I need now is Riola. She kept talking non-stop. I will never forget. Making him fascinated and unable to resist this clumsy kindness, she gently raised her hand to cover her mouth. It was so sweet. Riola took a bite of the cake and said, and then Fabian told me that if I kept being patient, tomorrow he would give me more candy. Isn't that funny? He was only 12 years old like me. He tried to comfort me with candy. In the end, thanks to those candies, I was able to keep going and overcome everything. He was a little sulky. So you told me to sit here to talk about your ex-lover? She quickly explained. I was talking about the candies, not the ex-lover. He thought silently. What I want to say is I worry about you. I said that on purpose. Even when I eat this dessert, I always think of you. And I think of the sweets that could make you happy, just like how they made me happy when I was little. Ha ha ha, so cool. She looked at him while putting a piece of cake in her mouth. The fork was put away. She replied, I just feel worried. He tilted his head slightly. Worried about what? She continued. You said you can hear everyone's thoughts except mine, so I think I should talk about other things. I need to try harder to not be left behind by everyone. He gently explained, I keep you by my side because I can't read your mind. Because I don't know if you might betray me. Riola Granitor, can I ask you a few things about the future? She was startled and broke out in a cold sweat. Ah, Your Majesty, please ask. Inside the luxurious room, he continued, if you hate me. Please ask, sir, he continued inside the luxurious room. If you hate me, or turn your back on me for any reason in the future, I want you to leave silently without saying anything about me, so that I can never be found. Riola thought to herself, I will never betray His Majesty, but I can't say that. I'm sure the loyal guard who betrayed him also said that. But in the end, that oath hurt Hohan. No one can keep a promise forever. It means that person had bad intentions from the start. But there will be times in life when there's no other choice but to act that way. Just like the sweet memories from the past that have caused me a lot of pain in the present. Yes, Riola thought for a moment and then replied, yes, I will do as you say. Hohan lowered his head to look at the table. All right, thank you. While Hohan was sound asleep in bed, Riola spoke up. Your Majesty hasn't slept for several days. Is it because of me? Aizen leaned forward. He must have gone through something last night. But now he's stable. She widened her eyes. Something like the epilepsy he had before? His condition? He rubbed his chin. No, but we still don't understand everything. Jess is busy studying. But we have caught the explosives at the crime scene thanks to that. But Riola was a bit confused. Excuse me, the explosives were already at the crime scene? She was startled and thought to herself. He means the explosives are spies? So this isn't just about loyal guards, Riola recalled his confession. If you hate me or turn your back on me for any reason in the future, I want you to leave silently, without saying anything about me. Then she thought to herself, so when he requested that, I wonder how much torment he felt. How could he endure it without crying? But Aizen continued, the explosives can't remember anything recently happening at the scene. The explosives corrected that he was taking a nap in the office all day yesterday. Riola raised her eyebrows, wondering, Your Majesty can't read his thoughts? She also rubbed her chin. That's a bit strange, he replied casually. I agree, it's strange that Your Majesty can't read his mind. Riola continued, oh, it's not that. I saw the explosives heading west yesterday. She recalled when she met the explosives. Aizen lowered his voice. I saw the explosives? She recalled his eyes as he said, yes, I was on my way to the laundry room to find Lu. Now that I think about it, the explosives were a bit different than usual. Our eyes met and I greeted him. But he didn't care and just walked past me. I think I must have done something to upset him. He sighed and put his hands on his head. The tea is getting cold. And she continued, I guess the explosives put the evidence in my cabinet. He replied, yes, I was thinking the same thing, Miss Riola. If you don't mind, would you like to come with me to meet the explosives? In the clinic, Jess was writing the medical record and said, his vital signs are stable. I don't think this is a sleep disorder. The explosives hesitated. Yes, he muttered. Damn it, it must be some kind of drug. Is there a drug that can control someone's mind? Not sure. Can you confuse someone's mind? Then what could it be? Could it be as Aizen said? Some kind of hypnosis? He frowned deeply. Jess said, maybe you really did those things. Jess slammed his hand on the table. Don't admit it so easily. I haven't even started questioning you yet. I'm the one watching you. I'm also the one who made your difficult job easier. I'm also the one who sent you to replace His Majesty's doctor on the trip. I did all these things, so don't give up, whether I prove you innocent or guilty. It's also my job, so I will find the truth. He clenched his trembling hand tightly. It was as if he was trying to prove he was innocent, but it was funny to use the word innocent when he was caught red-handed. At the crime scene, but even if he used drugs or hypnosis, if I can prove he didn't do it voluntarily, then Jess turned and walked away. If you don't want to cooperate, forget it. I'll find another way. The explosives were startled and hesitant. Jess was about to stand up. Jess had already left the room. He sighed softly. Suddenly, Aizen spoke. Jess, have you found anything yet? He continued. Not yet. I'm still investigating. The possibility of drug involvement. But why was that woman here? Riola politely said as she walked beside him. I want to talk to the explosives privately. Is that all right? Jess looked a bit confused. What do you mean? She gently nodded, so I will tell him later. Jess helplessly entrusted it to her. Then Riola pushed the door and stepped in. Sir, it's me, Riola Britannia. May I come in? But inside she felt a bit uneasy. I have a bad feeling about this. My intuition is usually very accurate, she continued. I'm sorry to bother you, sir. But we need to talk. Suddenly, she saw him pressing a knife to Riola's neck. Startled, her eyes widened. Sir was tilting his head back, hand holding the knife pressed close to her. She hurriedly stepped forward and knocked the knife away, simultaneously knocking off his glasses. Sir lost the knife, which fell to the ground and slid far away. Riola raised her hand to block in front of him. Sir, wait! Sir quickly grabbed her arm. She screamed in fear. Stop. If you really are a spy, you need to beg for forgiveness. And if you're not, you should prove your innocence. Doing this is really cowardly. If you feel guilty about what you did, don't do this. Please. He groaned softly. No, not yet. Get away. Riola silently lamented. He squeezed her hand and twisted it to one side, causing her sharp pain. And she screamed, "Captain Eisen, Sir Jess, help!" Eisen immediately pushed the door and rushed in. "What do you think you're doing?" Sir threw her to the ground, then Eisen ran over to stop him. You tightly grabbed him to prevent him from rampaging further, then kicked Sir in the groin, after he had to fall down. You then anxiously turned to check on her. "Are you okay, Miss Riola?" Riola lowered her voice. "Yes, I'm still fine, sir." Suddenly his eyes brightened more. Sir collapsed into his chest. He weakly spoke, "Captain Eisen, Sir Jess and Miss Riola, what else have I done? Why?" Eisen frowned and almost shouted, "Sir." Suddenly a gentle voice came from afar. "You can remember, right?" That voice and the faint scent made him feel awakened. A slender, gentle hand touched Sir's hand. "See, when I hold your hand like this," Riola knelt down, her gaze soft on Sir. "You can remember, right, sir?" Her cheeks blushed, eyes sparkling. "With red hair like a rose in the wild, please try to remember, okay?" Hearing her words, he trembled with regret. He began to tear up. She was right. "I remember now. I remember everything. Even the things that happened before." Jess looked disbelieving. He weakly said, "I caused that." Eisen stared wide-eyed and silent. Hearing that, Sir raised his hand, cuffed by handcuffs to cover his face. "I'm sure I did that. I'm sure I tried to harm His Majesty." The lavish room with chandeliers. His hand tightly gripped Riola's hand. A low voice from the door echoed, "I heard Sir has recovered his memory." She was startled and opened her eyes wide. "Your Majesty." That voice continued, "So I came here." Looking at Sir hand in hand with Riola, that voice began to sound a bit annoyed, "But in this situation, I really don't understand." She stammered. "Sir said that if you do that, he would feel more comfortable." Hohan appeared with handsome golden hair, eyebrows slightly furrowed. Seeing his expression like that, he darkened his face, knelt down, sincerely apologizing. "Your Majesty, I'm truly sorry. I don't know why. But my mind becomes confused if I don't hold Riola's hand. I deserve to die. I will only do this until Your Majesty reads my thoughts. He threatened my life, betrayed Eisen and Jess, and blamed all the crimes he caused to Riola." Hohan's hand clenched the sword, his eyes sharp, looking at the two of them intimately in front of him. His mind kept racing, and now he had to rely on Riola to stay sane. "I want to eliminate him right now, but even though thoughts like sharp thorns keep appearing in my head," he still just lightly said, "Okay, I understand, sir." He brought his hand in front of Sir. "Quickly, give me your memories." A second later, he was silent without a word. Hohan placed his hand on Sir's shoulder, trembling. He began to mumble, "So you really are the one behind everything." His oppression made him darken his face. He still had no intention to stop making fake medicine, stealing secret documents, and what happened after that. But Eisen and Jess, standing nearby, hearing these words, could only cover their faces and scratch their ears. Their eyes suddenly softened, but at the same time, "You are also not the one who did those things." Sir just bowed his head, not daring to face him. Both Eisen and Jess were startled hearing that. The bewildered face, "Your Majesty, you mean what? Why?" He thought of a demonic force tightly holding. Sir then explained. The body of the explosions moves on its own, but every time he does so, a voice briefly orders his subconscious. This seems to only appear when the explosions are asleep. One of them asked again, "So you mean the explosions were really controlled by that AI? Why do you still think about that dark force that tightened and blinded the explosions?" He continued speaking. "Yes, and the same thing happened when he tried to end himself." Riola widened his eyes, raised his hand to cover his mouth, unable to believe that AI caused this to cover up the traces. "The explosions cannot control this." Haha, looking at him gently, asked the explosions, "Do you remember anything about encountering a suspicious hypnotist or something similar?" He quickly replied, I don't know, but it could be." He stroked his chin, pondering. "It seems we have encountered a force even greater than the head." He imagined 7,749 different people. Every day the explosions have to meet countless foreign guests in many different fields. It's entirely possible that a hypnotist with bad intentions is among them. Then he thought about the explosions, someone who could use hypnosis to control others, like puppets. Jess worriedly asked what would happen to the explosions. Riola also eagerly awaited Hohan's answer. He looked at her hand and the explosion's hand still tightly holding each other. He frowned, then helplessly closed his eyes and answered clearly. He will be given a chance to correct his mistakes. As soon as he finished speaking, the explosions burst into tears. Oh, everyone breathed a sigh of relief and rushed to his side. He kept saying repeatedly, "God, I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry, Your Majesty." Haha, seriously, listening to his rambling. "I let my ignorance put you in danger. Your Majesty, I deserve to die." He knelt on one knee slowly and said, "I hate you, but I sincerely thank you for not betraying me." He gently patted the explosions back. He still hung his head low. "God, I'm sorry. God, I'm sorry. The explosions are not a traitor." AI also felt relieved about this, but they all knew the road ahead was still long. He suddenly swung his hand, separating the two hands that were tightly holding each other. His jealous voice said, "Now let go of her hand." There was no other way to know when the explosions would lose reason again. So, and he voluntarily agreed to be confined under the supervision of Austin and Jess. He and Jess stood exchanging about something. Now that he remembered everything, the explosions decided to work with Jess to find ingredients to concoct a fake medicine. 2 days later, Riola happily stepped in and called, "Your Excellency, the explosions. Are you still okay?" Seeing her, the explosion's heart immediately bloomed. "Oh, Miss Riola," he approached to start a conversation. Thinking back, "I still haven't properly thanked you since that day." "Thank you, Miss Riola. You saved me." She smiled shyly. "You have saved me many times too, Your Excellency," the explosion said, smiling and chatting. Hohan crossed his arms and cut off the topic. "Where is Jess?" They still talked and laughed happily, his words like invisible. He continued his topic. "Ah, the person in the West Wing that day wasn't me. If it were me, I would have greeted you more warmly," Riola happily replied. "Then from now on, please always smile for me." He also smiled warmly and replied, "I will." Before he finished, a fierce aura suddenly erupted. The explosions, at that moment, Hohan looked like a demon, his whole body radiating raging flames. "I ask you, Jess, where is she?" He was scared out of his wits, stammering, "God, sorry, Your Majesty. Jess has been at the library for a while now." "What's going on?" He lifted Riola's arm and brought it in front of him, then closer. "Riola's arm here is injured, do you see?" The explosions bowed low, looking carefully. "Yes, I see. It seems the wound was caused by something sharp." "Why did this happen again?" She blushed and pulled her hand back. "It doesn't hurt at all, and it will heal on its own." He suddenly realized something, thinking about 2 days ago when he pushed her and she fell to the ground. A fleeting thought appeared in his mind. It was because of what I did that day. Realizing it was true, the explosions closed his eyes, pondering in his head. "The apology cannot make up for everything. What I can do now is treat this wound." He pointed to the chair beside him and invited her to sit. "Miss Riola, please raise your arm." Hogan's sharp eyes looked like he was seeing what trick this devil planned. "Riola, raise your hand." Hohan's sharp eyes looked as if to see what trick this devil intended. He stiffened under Hohan's sharp gaze. Quickly, the servants became flustered. Miss Riola, I don't think I can help you. Anyway, I have taken leave during the investigation." But Riola was confused. "Isn't a little ointment and bandage enough?" "I didn't dare stay there another second." He ran off like smoke. Suddenly, I remembered there were a few things I forgot to do. "I'm sorry, but I have to go now. Take care." She hurriedly chased after him. "Why the rush, Lord Castle?" "Lord Castle, what's going on?" At that moment, Hohan gently stepped forward and picked up a medical cotton ball. "You're still standing there dazed." "Really?" Riola turned around and saw him sitting attentively. Couldn't help but be curious. "Your Majesty, what are you doing?" He softly said. "What do you think I'm doing?" He turned to look at her with affectionate eyes. "Sit down." Thinking of Lord Castle's figure running and shouting, "Good luck, Riola and Your Majesty." She started to think, so it seems she had realized something, shyly blushing and covering her mouth to smile. "Oh my God, I guess Lord Castle still has to be controlled by someone not an AI, but actually by His Majesty himself." With the clacking footsteps, the maid spoke up. "Miss Riola, how do you find this dress?" "This design was just delivered yesterday. I'm sure His Majesty will like it," another person also said to Riola. "I will stay by your side and serve you all day." Riola smiled and stepped forward. "All right, I've changed clothes too, don't worry. Lou will be by my side," but the maid still seemed uneasy, yet she gently looked at them and continued. "I'm not going to see His Majesty. I just stopped by the study to read a book. I'm leaving now." The maid stood solemnly watching Riola's footsteps as she stepped out the door. Then they immediately sneered, the blonde mocking. Obviously she's lying. Everyone knows she went to see His Majesty," the redhead chimed in. "If she wanted to see the Emperor right after waking up, why didn't she just stay in the bedroom? The blonde wouldn't be outdone. But if not, it would be rude in the eyes of the ministers and other nobles, so she stayed somewhere else." Riola, in a gorgeous dress, walked to the library. When Phim saw her arrive, she was very surprised. Meanwhile, the maids continued gossiping. The purple-haired one spoke up. "Oh my God, if she makes His Majesty happy, then does any of that even matter?" Just a few days ago, she stayed with His Majesty for 2 whole days, but only Riola entered the library and found the book she needed. The blonde still chattered away, leaving early in the morning, then stayed by his side until late at night, and His Majesty always escorted her to the West Wing. Clearly, he's too infatuated with her. They kept gossiping like nosy neighbors. Yes, they love each other deeply. We need to leave a good impression. While she is still beloved by His Majesty, I think we need to do something special to win her over. Riola noticed Riola carrying a heavy stack of books, slowly stepping out of the library, not forgetting to thank Phim. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I wish you well." He stared at her, thinking. Riola Benito watched her back as she walked away like a blooming rose. He couldn't help but have a series of thoughts. She was favored by the Emperor, so she could just stay in her room all day and enjoy a luxurious life. So why does she come to this shabby library every day? She really is a mystery. Scene change. The door suddenly opened with a voice echoing in. "Knock, knock. It's me. Riola is here." Lord Castle excitedly said, "You've arrived early today, even earlier than yesterday." She smiled and replied, "I don't want you to get bored, Lord Castle." Riola stepped into the neatly arranged room. Jess and Lord Castle were standing inside. "This is the secret office. According to official announcements, Lord Castle is currently on leave, but in reality, he is secretly confined in this room. She handed the stack of books to him. "These are the books you mentioned yesterday." His eyes lit up. "Thank you. And I'm sorry, but you're the only one I can ask for help, Riola." Riola calmly said, "I'm fine, no need to apologize." As soon as she finished, Jess suddenly slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough talking." His gaze became serious. "As you know, we need to find the ingredients for that fake medicine today, so let's get to work." Both Castle and Riola froze upon hearing this. The investigation always starts like this. She touched his hand. Strangely, Lord Castle's memories, the investigation always starts like this. She then touched his hand. Strangely, the Lord's memories exploded. "It seems to only return when I'm beside the Lord." Even Jess couldn't understand the reason. He sat still, letting her take his pulse. Jess frowned, looking at the two of them, unable to help but recall the time he grabbed the Lord's collar, and shouted, "Do you love Riola? Is this the power of love or what?" At that moment, he was trembling with fear like a threshing machine. "The Emperor will kill me," yet he still didn't let go. He had already overlooked the fact that you are a spy, so he won't kill you, but looking at the current situation. Jess comforted himself. Sure, it wasn't like that. He frowned involuntarily, but if that's the case, everything is even more confusing. Looking at gentle Riola in front of him, a series of thoughts flashed through his mind, but the urgent priority for us now is to find the ingredients to make that fake medicine. So let's focus on that first. After solving this, I will uncover the secret that this strange woman is holding. She suddenly closed her eyes. He gently put down the pen and said, "And about this, I think I should add some lobelia flower soaking water. But not much, just 1 drop. That's it?" Jess stretched and continued speaking. "Yes, that's how I made the fake medicine. Finally, there's some result." Suddenly, Hohan pushed the door open with a serious expression, startling him. "Your Majesty, you came early today." Seeing him arrive, Riola immediately said, "Here you are, Your Majesty." Before she finished speaking, he stared intently at her 2 hands. She hesitated but finished, "Yes." Hohan suddenly grabbed their 2 hands roughly, sounding very annoyed. "Are you done yet?" Jess sat in front like an outsider watching a play. "You knew we were done and pulled her hand out, right?" He grabbed Riola and pulled her outside. "If you're done, then let's go." Riola and Jess stood up shouting, "Wait, Your Majesty. We just found the ingredients for the fake medicine. Don't you want to know?" He calmly pulled her along. "Then come see me tonight and report." Jess held his head helplessly. "What?" Suddenly he realized something. "Huh? Why should I care?" Outside, Hohan had already pulled Riola out to the flower garden. She kept explaining, "Your Majesty, the explosives are gradually regaining their memories. If we try a little more," he said, "they might remember what happened before. Then we can find out who brainwashed him." He listened attentively. "Keep talking." Then he suddenly stopped, crossed his arms, showing jealousy. "How far do you intend to go? Take off the explosives' clothes or what?" She blushed. "No, that's not what I meant. Ha ha ha," looking at Riola affectionately. "You look like a CEO. Are you usually this slow to understand, or are you doing it on purpose?" She didn't dare look him in the eye and turned away. "What did you do?" His next words made her eyes widen. "You're my woman, ha ha ha," staring at the red fruit hanging down in front of him, fondling it. "Then why did you casually touch my subordinate like that?" Riola thought to herself. He really is the most handsome emperor in the world. He squeezed that fruit seriously. Understood? She followed his every move, standing in the brightest place on the planet, and he said, "I'm his woman." "I don't know what to say." She kept staring at him silently, then slipped into a sulky expression and turned away. "That's not right." Hohan looked confused. She continued, "I didn't touch the explosive's body like you said. I only touched his hand, just as the Emperor ordered." He pondered. She shyly looked down. "I'm not really your woman, am I?" Riola turned to face his gaze. She scratched her neck. "Or am I really like that?" He showed no anger. He just looked at her with indulgent eyes. Both fell into a silent stillness, quietly looking at each other. He thought, she's embarrassed, which is understandable. We've grown closer and relied on each other, but we've never truly expressed our feelings for each other, unlike the image of a deeply in love couple that rumors say. Thinking that, Hohan pressed on, imagining the two of them fighting monsters together. Living and dying together, we're like partners facing challenges to overcome hardships. "What do you mean?" Riola shyly turned away. "I feel romantically attracted to you. I shouldn't say that." And more intensely, his eyes full of affection kept looking at her. "I find you adorable when you avoid my gaze just because I tease you. It makes me want to tease you more. I want you to be even more embarrassed, even want to kiss you, but I still can't do that. At least not now." Today, Hohan broke the silence. "My plan was delayed because of what happened. With the explosions, you radiate countless heroic auras. CEO, prepare to move to another room." Riola scene changes. Dazzling light along with a panicked voice echoing from somewhere. Miss Riola, do we have trouble?" Lou hurriedly whispered. Running and shouting, "Where are you being moved to?" Riola foolishly asked. "What's going on?" She stared wide-eyed. "Actually, that's the Lakeside Palace," she smiled foolishly. "Lakeside Palace must be because there's a lake there, right?" And Riola recalled her conversation with His Majesty when he said, "This place is under his direct control, and currently no steward has been assigned there. You can keep some maids you want. This area has been uninhabited for a long time," she thought to herself. "His Majesty said this is just an empty palace."